Hey, how's it going? I think I want to talk in this video about I'm gonna talk about the straw that broke the camel's back, basically, for us here when we decided enough's enough. And my wife played a big part in this. So I give her some crazy credit in this because if it hadn't been for her and her insistence in me really, making a major change, this wouldn't have happened. I'm gonna back up a little bit. No, I'm not. I'm gonna go into this one because I'll go into other videos. I'll go into diets and things like that. They're kind of in depth, but I don't want to do that right now. So I was going my normal day-to-day life and what led up to us, the moment where we actually needed to go, where I needed to go see a different doctor, and what caused the problem. Excuse me, I'm drinking something. So my normal life here on Maui was we had a house kind of down in the valley, in the Wailuku side, and we had a shop, just a garage, 2-car garage, and it had some old motorcycle parts, and I was building a truck for a friend of mine, just kind of helping him out with his old pickup, and I was about maybe 3/4 of the way done with the frame and stuff, and my routine normally was I would go to the gym in the morning, and then I would come back and work on that thing, and whatever other odd jobs I could find to do, I would do, help other people out with their cars or whatever, and I was doing that. A little construction work here and there, whatever I could pick up, that's what we were doing. And I had been, like I talked about in the other videos, I was always dealing with a stomach issue, and I was also dealing with it was at this worst. So here it was probably 42 at the time, so I'm 45 now, so it's 3 years ago. Yeah, I'm gonna say this 2017ish. So I was dealing with that, dealing with stuff in my stomach, normal stuff. That's why I had a shop in my house. That's why anywhere I worked, I had a bathroom. I also was dealing with this respiratory stuff that was just driving me just totally nuts. I was drowning at night, and it was making it hard for me to breathe, and but I was still trying to work out during this stuff. I was still trying to deal with congestion and still working out, because I just needed this was my routine, and I felt great. I'd work out and I'd feel real good in the morning, and just normally just run the rest of the day like normal. And so I also like the discipline of getting up and just putting myself through those kinds of paces. I really enjoyed it. And so anyway, back to what was going on. We were at home, and I had one of these last really bad bouts of, man, I was tired of it. I was drowning at night, and I was sick of laying in the pool of the phlegm and the saliva and these towels. I was just so sick of this, and I was sick of not knowing what was going on with that, and there had to be something I was allergic to at the house, and everything over here is old, and there's mold everywhere, and I was well, maybe it's mold, black mold this, black mold that. I was I gotta figure it out. So I was sick and tired of it. So we go see this allergy specialist here in Maui, and he was at my my medical group, just a doctor, and he was quite brilliant at this point. I had gone and seen several doctors, and they always said all the allergy tests I'd gone to, were oh, you're not allergic to anything. How can I not be allergic to anything? But all the test results showed nothing, not reactionary to anything. And this doctor, I go see him, and he says, no one's ever really done a normal allergy test on you. And I said, what do you mean? I've had blood tests drawn, I've had all these other things. He goes, no, those are more extreme. I'm talking a skin prick kind of a test. And he said, you need to stop taking any allergy medication for the next 7 days. And at that point, I was blown away. Two things happened, and one was wow, that's amazing. That's brilliant. Why don't be on any antihistamine and take a test to test your histamines? That just seemed logical, but no other doctor had me do that, save for one that made me stop. One of the tests I did, I had to stop 24 hours. But this guy was no, 7 days, full 7 days. We want it completely out of your system. So we're dealing with you on your own. Let's test it. And he said that, and the second thing I was concerned about with was the panic. What am I going to do? I'd been like self-medicating with like different kinds of like decongestants and stuff and allergy pills. Like I was just trying to get on top of this. Like, what am I going to do for a week? Like, how am I going to survive this week? This is going to be crazy. Can I do it? But I needed to do it. So I was like, all right, this is a different change. This is a step forward. This is drastic. I'd already been dealing with really terrible, dramatic stuff and drastic stuff for these things my whole life, this whole time in my life. What's 7 days of being unarmed? I'll go to this gunfight unarmed. So that's what I felt like. So I did it, and I go in to get these tests at the end of the 7 days, and he just cordons off my back, and he does the skin prick test, and they stop actually doing testing part of the way through. He reads off my results, and they're pretty dramatic. Like I'm allergic to a lot of stuff. Like at this point, I'm super allergic. In fact, one of the things was like gold. I was allergic to gold in the back of they put on this test, and it was gold was one of the 70 things they tested me on in this one test. And a small, like the end of like a needle was a small, like the amount that they tested me, like just a small skin prick test. And it got to the size of like a 50-cent piece. And it had like turned into blisters. Like it was like, it had burnt me. I was that allergic to gold. And there were several other ones that had reacted. One was nickel, which nickel is in everything, and metal. I mean, that's like everything I've ever done my whole life and ever known, all my tools, everything like that. Like this is like, nickel is in everything. Like lots of food, lots of vegetables have it. Lots of, nickel, like money. I mean, like this is pretty severe, and some other stuff like cortisone, and like hydrocortisone cream for like rashes and stuff like that. Like all these things, any kind of cane drug, which made sense why going to the dentist, why Novocaine doesn't really numb me. It's because I'm allergic to Novocaine. It doesn't do anything to me. And then there were like all these foods I was allergic to, like every single kind of nut but peanuts. And I was like, how can this be? So two things happened during this time. I was identified what I was allergic to from these blood tests and these skin prick tests and these other things, and so I knew what to avoid, which is great. I'm good at dealing with this stuff, and I create workarounds, so I figure out how to eliminate the stuff in my diet and eliminate being around all these other things. It pretty much made me be like, I should be Bubble Boy, dog poop, this is awesome. Like that movie, Bubble Boy. Like that's exactly what I felt like. I should live in a bubble. I'm allergic to, there's less things in the world that I wasn't allergic to than there was things I was allergic to. It was super dramatic. So I mean, super drastic. So major. But at least I had an answer. I was shocked. I was happy. But I also wasn't feeling really good. Another one of those allergy things happened right after this test, and I was just like, I didn't have any energy. And my diet had changed, and I wasn't getting much energy from food, and I just didn't go work out. And so my energy levels was just dropping. I just didn't have it, and I was feeling really, really weak. And my stomach wasn't hurting all that much because I was staying away from all these foods, but I felt so bad. And I was carrying some guilt because I got my buddy's truck over here I gotta finish, and I can't be around metal. Like I need to stay away from it. It means I couldn't go out 15 feet from my front door out to the shop where all my tools are and the things I loved. Like I just couldn't be out there because it's in the air. It's in everything. This was like basically in my mind, like I had a choice to make, like continue doing what I'm doing and die, because as this allergy doctor put it, in fact he prescribed me an EpiPen and said I was the poster child for an EpiPen, and I was the perfect candidate for a perfect storm, like a lethal kind of, like if I have like a combination of any of these allergens happen at the same exact time, it will kill me. Like I was faced with like some real tough choices. And of course my wife was concerned, and there wasn't really anything they could do here for me. Like this was super severe, and the doctors at that time had never seen anything quite like this, which seemed to be like this a running theme in my life. Like, it's either one way or it's the other. If it's the other way, it's super extreme, and I just kind of goes with everything. I guess it fits, but enough of that side monologue trail. I got a package, a new gas tank for this pickup that I was putting together. Came in a big cardboard box. The UPS driver left it at the front gate. So I went out there and I grabbed the package, and I'm like, it's in cardboard, it's no big deal. And I was in my board shorts, and I just wandered out there and picked this thing up. And I walked over to the pickup and I grabbed the door, and I was like, well, I can't work on it. So I just slid it in the cab of the door and I shut the truck door. And I kind of wandered out back to the gate. My wife had come home about the same time. She's like, let's go to the store. And I was like, okay, cool. So I walk out to the car and I get in the car, and I'm not feeling really good. Like, something hit me. Like, it was weird. It was like, as soon as I opened the door and shut the door, dust or something, I don't know what it was, like, hit me. And I felt this, like, wave of something coming on, and my throat started closing up. And I'm like, I said, babe, do you have a Benadryl or something? I need to stop this. And she's like, sure, yeah, sure. And she had watched me, like, open the door and just put the thing. I was out there for, like, 10 seconds around the truck. Long enough for me to grab the box, open the door, and put it in. It was as long as me to tell you. That's how long I was out there. And I take a couple Benadryls, and that just kind of kept it at a dull roar. Like, it stopped it at that level. My throat kind of stopped at that point. It stayed there. And I was kind of out of it. Real delirious, just kind of like just zoning out, and I was tired. And I get back to the house, and I wasn't feeling very good. And that night, I was just like, I don't know. Best I can describe what my one doctor told me was like my body was shutting down. Like, it was like it was reaching the high point of, like, when you're poisoned, your body can only hold so much. And so I'm like hitting whatever limits those were, apparently, and of whatever I'm allergic to. And my wife, while I was out of it, she made plane tickets and arrangements for our car, and, like, we were moving. When I finally came to, she's like, we're out of here, in 2 weeks we're gone. And I'm like, what am I doing? What are we gonna do with all this stuff? And she's like, it really doesn't matter. We basically got rid of it and gave most of it away. But we left, and I left my entire, quote unquote, my life and everything I'd ever known and loved, like, behind. Like, what was I gonna do the rest of my life? I can live and be alive, but I can't do the things I love because they're killing me. And that was huge. That was major. And to be perfectly honest, I was kind of upset about it, but even more so if the roles had been reversed. Like, if my wife had been in my position and I was in hers, she couldn't have stopped me, and because of that, I didn't fight her on it. Like, I knew she was right. I knew moving us away or whatever step we needed to do at that point, and she saw fit, was whatever we were going to do. I was going to just honor that, like, whatever. I was not in any mood to fight it, and I wanted answers, and at that point I was just over it. And it had gone on so long, and I was still kind of trying to deal with what we had learned on this education thing, this track. And so I apologize if this is like kind of sounding down and out, but the happy ending of this, the bright side of the story is we ended up moving, and we ended up in Oregon, because I have a bunch of cousins there. So we were there, and my wife was still working for her company here. They allowed her to go remotely, and so we were over there trying to get out of that environment, because she thought maybe the air quality or whatever, the mold in that area was gone. So we ended up over in Oregon, and I was feeling better, to be perfectly honest. I was totally feeling better. And then not long after that, my father-in-law was diagnosed with like Alzheimer's, and so we moved back for a short time to be closer to them back in Idaho. We went back to Idaho to be close and help them out, and that's what we ended up doing. And during that time over in that area, that's where my doctor is. And like I said in my first video, if you guys watched the intro video, my mother-in-law and my nephew and my wife's sister had seen this doctor, and I didn't want to go see this guy. But at this point, like I said, that's what kind of led me. I was already into the point of like changing. I'd already seen this other doctor. He had made huge steps and actually identified things I was allergic to. So I finally, after 40 some years, had answers. I didn't like my answers, and then I just had a severe reaction again. But this time it was different, and it was identifiable. So I was done. I was kind of beaten down at this point. And we go to Idaho, and we're back over in eastern Idaho, and here is this doctor that supposedly can work miracles, and I'm like skeptical and angry and upset about the whole thing, understandably. And then I see this guy, and the rest is history through functional medicine. Like I said, I'm 45 now. It's been a little over a year, and I haven't had any of those attacks. Not at all. Unless I do something stupid, like not take my allergy med or whatever, my little pill, my maintenance pill. If I don't take that, then, I'm congested like I, kind of am right now at this moment, which is like super minor. I'm not even coughing, I don't have a runny nose or anything, but I've got like the lingering results of something that I'm not 100%, I'm probably like 95%. But I'll take 95% over, 10% any day. And the same thing with the diet. If I cheat on something that I'm allergic to, and that's the other thing that's pretty interesting. All these things I was super allergic to on these lists, like there were so many of them. My body was just freaking out. It was super reactionary. It was being poisoned by this or by that, and of course it was lashing out at anything I was eating a lot of at the time, or whatever. It was just like it amplified everything. And now, every time I get tested, it turns out that's not what's going on. Like it's, a lot of things are going away. Probably 3/4 of the stuff I was highly allergic to are like barely a blip on the radar. And if I do come in contact with them, they're not there. But the best news is it's not potentially lethal at this point. As long as I continue with this path that I'm on, I'm healing, and the severity and the, or whatever is gone. I do still carry an EpiPen, just for protection, I think it's smart and it's prudent. I do have Benadryl in my, wallet or close by in my person at some point, to if I do get dosed with something, or, there's all of a sudden I go through a dust storm and I start reacting and have a bad allergy reaction to it, I can just take Benadryl and it's done. But they're just used for what they're intended for, to help with an actual acute allergy attack, not eating them like candy and whatever. But anyway, I wanted to share that with you guys so you would know why and what the main motivation was and what happened. And we're back in Hawaii because after going through this healing process and being able to heal better, it turned out home wasn't our issue. So we could come back home, and that there was really no place we wanted to be other than that. And my father-in-law, we got him taken care of and all that stuff handled. So we really weren't, I don't want to say needed or we were wanted around, but my wife's needed to be back home, and I want to be back home. And so we're here enjoying life on Maui, and we love it. And it's like life's a whole new adventure. I do not, like I said before, I feel fantastic. I feel better than I ever did my entire life, and this life is amazing, and we're blessed to be able to be back home and be around all the things that we love. And I'm not saying that stuff to make anybody feel bad or anything like that. That's not my intention. My intention is, it doesn't really matter where you live or the situation you're in or your status or whatever. Is you can make the best out of the situation, or you should take every opportunity to, identify whatever is hindering your body or whatever is going on. If you have a bear or something trying to attack you, get that thing off and let your body right itself and heal itself, so you can enjoy your life and without being hindered by those issues, and make the most out of it for where you are right now at this position. And I can't express enough how I mean, I can't express enough how awesome it is, how good I feel. Like, I really can't. And, looking back at what my wife went through and the decisions we made and the stuff that was going on and things we had to give up, it's worth it. It's worth it. But I also was able to go back and I can be around like old motorcycles, old cars. I can enjoy my hobby. It was given back to me, but I get to see it with a new perspective of, I value things way more. The sun's a little bit brighter, the colors are a little bit brighter and more colorful, and I don't take things nearly for granted as much as I used to, and that's probably as a side effect of getting a second chance at this. And I want you guys to be able to experience the same kind of thing. I want you to be able to know what it feels like to be finally healed and have some answers, and know that life can be better than you ever imagined. And I think I'm getting my point across. I hope so. See you on the next one.